Welcome. I'm Juliet Littman, and I'm here today with Kelsey Poe from The Bachelor.
Well, hello.
Welcome.
Thank you.
This is super exciting. I just don't even know where to start. How did you end up going on the show?
That's a great place to start.
Yeah.
So I never would have thought in my wildest dreams that I would end up on national television and on The Bachelor.
Yeah.
I have a wonderful friend. I grew up with her. She knows my story. She knows what I've been through. And so she nominated me to go on the show in hopes that I would be ready to kind of take this next journey into love.
Wow. So did you know she was doing it, or was it like totally a surprise?
Well, she texted me one day saying, "Oh, what's your height, your weight, and your email address?" And I'm like, I go, okay, da-da-da-da. I send it out, and then, wait, no, what do you need it for? And then she texts me an image of, like, the package that says to ABC's The Bachelor.
Wow.
And I'm like, well, let's see what happens.
Did you have to send a reel of any kind, like a video?
We didn't have to, and so she nominated me. The show got in touch with me wanting to know if I was interested, and then they wanted an application just to get to know me more and some photos, and I also sent in just like a home video that my sister and I made, which was hilarious because there was a little bit of a blooper.
Was it made for The Bachelor?
It was.
Oh, okay.
It was just to kind of show that what I'm like on camera and just kind of give them a full picture of who I am, just so that way before we decided to take a next step, The Bachelor and I decided to take the next step to pursue the show, they could see who I am and make the right decision.
Had you seen the show at all?
Well, of course.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I didn't watch the season closely, but because The Bachelor is just such a facet in American culture,
Totally.
You can't help but like pick up on what's going on, who the contestants are, the latest Bachelor, Bachelorette. So though I hadn't watched the season closely, I knew Chris Soules was a contestant. I heard great things. So it kind of eased my tensions in pursuing it.
Had you watched Andy's season?
A few episodes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Have you met her since?
No, I haven't.
She seems pretty cool. Just curious.
I can't wait. I mean, I love Georgia, so maybe I'll just like take a trip.
Just squeeze your way in there.
Yeah.
See what happens.
No, she's totally cool. And I think because since the filming has ended and now it's airing and we're wrapping things up, before we move on with our lives, we're kind of all Bachelor show right now, and then the relationships can really forge afterwards.
Yeah. What kind of stuff have you been doing like over the last couple of weeks since you left the show, like publicity wise?
Well, I've been meeting with other news outlets, media outlets, because they just are interested to know what the experience is like. They want to know my perspective and my personal journey through it.
Yeah.
And yeah, in the Women Tell All shoot was recently, and so that's going to be coming up very soon.
So let's talk about your experience. So what was it like? Like, what was the first night like for you?
The first night is mayhem, and I think the show picked up my statement of this is like estrogen.
Yeah.
Mayhem. No, it really, really was. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. It's the longest day you can possibly imagine. You're like getting ready for hours because first impressions are a huge deal. And you're incredibly nervous because you don't know what you're walking into. You want to be accepted and you want the boy to like you.
Sure.
And you don't know how the other girls will be acting, and everybody's just very nervous. And so there was high tensions, a lot of energy. It was almost electric. It's indescribable. It really is.
From that first episode, you were really in the show a lot. Like when you watched that first, the teaser trailer, what was your response to seeing yourself featured so heavily in it?
First of all, I have to applaud my friend who hooked me up with that dress, Chong Cha, because that dress was slamming. I was so happy to be getting the hookup from her. And otherwise, I mean, it was kind of exciting to watch me on TV, like in the excitement and really just reveling in something really unique.
Yeah. What was it like when your family saw the trailer for the first time? Like even before you were really on the show, but like what was their response to?
The excitement was building. They didn't know what to expect because I came back saying, I don't know, guys, we'll see what they air, because there's so much that happens on the show. Not everything will be aired.
Right.
And so there was a tentativeness, excitement. My niece, who's 2.5 years old, says, oh, Auntie Kay, she's on TV and she has a blue dress on and she's so pretty.
That's really sweet.
That was the best compliment ever. It really was.
So then what did you think of the way that you were portrayed? I mean...
Well, kind of evolved over time, right? The first few episodes was very natural, authentic Kelsey, just... smiling and engaging and kind of cute. And then the lake date and...
Yeah, the lake date definitely is where things kind of took a turn.
Let me just, clear the record. I love camping. I grew up camping with my family. It is such an element of just, you can just chill. There are no expectations. You're just sitting by a fire. However, when you're on a date with a bunch of women and camping, I just think it's kind of blasphemous to the camping experience, really.
Because it's not relaxing in any way?
No, and with cameras around you all the time, it's just, it wasn't my idea of actual camping, but I did the best I could to enjoy it. Yeah. The lake itself, I'm a spoiled Michigander. I spent 6 years in Florida, right on the beach, and I feel bad because California is in a severe drought.
I know.
You know?
I was going to say, I actually agree with you. It didn't look like the nicest lake. If you're going to go lake camping, there are nicer places. And if you're in Southern California, why not go beach camping or something?
Seriously, why didn't we not hit up one of these amazing beaches on the coast? I have no idea. So, yeah, I know. I was a curmudgeon, and whatever. It was just me being honest.
While that date was happening, were you aware that the other women were kind of starting to turn on you?
No, absolutely not. Which is so bizarre, how it was just hidden from me the whole time. Because it's not that I lack that intuitiveness to pick up on the social undertones. I just I made an explicit choice to not engage in gossip, and I think maybe I removed myself from conversations that were about me, and so that might have perpetuated.
Did you think that hurt you with the other women because you weren't gossiping across the board? Did that hurt your relationship with them overall as well?
I would hope not. I would hope that maybe in the moment they might have thought I'm just too good to talk. Hopefully that's not the case. My genuine hope is that they look back on it and they realize that I respect them enough to not slam them ever.
Yeah. Who have you spoken to since the show? Is there anyone you remain friends with?
Yeah. Britt and I bonded immediately, and so we're in touch a little bit. Ashley S. Not crazy, actually an evil genius. I love her. So we had a long conversation yesterday, and I'm looking forward to talking to her more. Nikki, former New York Jets cheerleader. She's a model in Manhattan. I want to be her when I grow up. So I almost bother her more than she bothers me just because I love her so much. But all of the girls are just dynamic and different, and they all have something to offer. And so I clicked more with some than with others.
Right. What about, so has there been a conversation with Carly? Because she was not the biggest Kelsey fan on the show.
Carly didn't seem to be a fan of a few girls, and so I'm giving it space.
Okay. So you haven't spoken to her since?
No, I haven't, and it's not to perpetuate drama. It's just, if she wants to be friends, I would love to talk with her, to hang with her. I think she's an honest person, and that was her defense, is I'm just honest.
Right.
But she did say things that were mean.
So then after the lake date, which is great, it's just easy to say the lake date over and over. I think you guys went to Santa Fe next, right?
Yes,
that was the next place.
Yeah.
And that is when you really spoke to Chris about your story, and you just really opened up to him.
That was a big moment.
Right.
It was big.
How did you decide this is the time that I want to talk to him?
Well, it wasn't like this is the moment. It was the fact that we had been talking for weeks. He really didn't know me, and the complexity of my life, and the fact that I was married before. It's kind of a big thing to bring up, and so I wasn't going to just divulge it on the first night. I was waiting for the timing, and what was really, really important to me wasn't... what was really, really important to me, quite frankly, was that it was going to be in a space that was protected. I didn't want the other girls to interrupt it, because that would be awkward for them just as much as it would be for us. And I wanted the time to be able to describe what happened, describe my marriage, and talk about what's happened since then and how I've grown and I've worked through the grief, and my perspective on life is different now, and why I'm ready for marriage again. Because it would be one thing to say, oh, hey, my husband died and I'm grieving, and then end the conversation right there.
Yeah.
But he needs to know, just like any other love interest needs to know, that, I'm a whole person again, and I'm ready for love. Because that could leave some questions for him that I know he needed to have them answered.
Did he respond in a way differently, like in the actual moment, than we saw on television? Because I don't think we got a lot of the context of the conversation. All we really saw was you kind of going out of your way to tell him, basically.
That's right. Yeah, and that's the nature of television is like we can't air everything. And so there were parts of the conversation that was a long conversation. And so there was stuff that just couldn't be included in the actual airing of the show.
How did you feel about the edit? Because it definitely was, it was kind of like your episode after that. So how did you feel after seeing it?
I hate the fact that you say it was my episode. I really do, because this is not a show about me. But that was a rough day.
Yeah.
I think the girls were wondering why now. And I think those questions spurred on this narrative of a tactfulness.
Yeah.
Of tact, or
sure, like choosing your moments in a way.
But in reality, and I guess the way I lived it, it wasn't to be tactical is the word I'm thinking of. It was because I can't just keep holding this story.
Yeah.
I can't keep holding it and holding it, because how can you progress in a relationship? And so when the opportunity presented itself, and I went for it. And
sure.
It wasn't to be competitive. I was not playing games, because this is my heart that was on the line. It was just to share my life with somebody and see if we can continue on together.
Right. So how many weeks had you been in the experience when that happened? It's hard to
by
keep
then
track.
it's episode 5.
Okay, so it's week 5 basically. Wow, so that's a pretty long time to not share this giant piece about your life.
Yeah,
basically.
I was getting nervous, and not that if he doesn't know when I get sent home. That wasn't it. I was getting nervous because I really liked him.
Yeah.
He
seemed like a really nice guy.
You got to meet him.
Yeah, he was really nice.
He's genuine, and he's sincere, and he's thoughtful, and he's a man of character. And I saw all that from him, and I was wondering how much of me did he see. And so it was really just the evolution of time and trying to find that right moment, because the biggest lesson that I've learned after losing Sanderson is the importance of time.
Yeah.
And that you don't know what's going to happen. Every day is a gift. And I didn't want to sit on my hands and not say anything, but at the same time, I didn't want to rush it. And so I was trying to, in the most respectful way, share what happened to me, to honor my husband and to honor my story.
What was it like for your family and Sanderson's family watching that episode?
Shocking.
It must have been. Yeah, I can't imagine. And then, were you surprised by how Chris acted at that rose ceremony afterwards?
Yes, absolutely.
He didn't give you didn't give you any inclination that.
No. So I was going to tell the girls after Chris toasted, because that was that's how it happens with the cocktail parties. He comes in, gives a toast, and then the night ensues in its random fashion.
Yeah.
So I had the intentions of telling the girls, hey, just so you know, I told Chris about Sanderson today.
Sure.
And he came out and he said my name. We talked today, and then he bolted. And I was devastated.
Right.
Because I didn't know if I said or if I did something that negatively affected him. Or maybe I said something to inspire him. I don't know. There were no questions. And then I have the weight of this in the room with all the girls just staring at me.
Yeah.
Tell me what just happened. I'm like, I don't know. So my mind is spinning. And it's spinning so fast that I can't keep up with my thoughts and I can't keep up with my emotions, and that's what triggered the panic attack.
Yeah. Well, so how long was the period in between when he was like, oh, wait, I need a moment, and then when he came back and the conclusion of the rose ceremony, basically?
That I don't know how to answer that question. The thing about a panic attack
is
you kind of lose track of time.
Totally. That's true.
Yeah.
It's really true. And in general, how long does a rose ceremony take?
Oh, it varies, because with 30 girls, it takes a while.
Yeah.
But as time narrows down and we kind of learn, where to stand and the positions and just the logistics of it, it's more efficiently run.
How much while the cocktail parties are going on do you talk about it seems like they show you talking about Chris a lot. And how much do you actually talk about Chris? There's so much downtime.
There's a lot of downtime.
So I guess to begin with, during the cocktail parties, how much are you watching what's going on, or are you just waiting for your moment? What do you do during that time?
During cocktail parties, we're mostly waiting for our moment, but we're not going to just sit and say or do nothing.
Right.
So we do engage in conversation. Cocktail parties tend to be really stressful because it's right before a rose ceremony.
Yeah.
And as somebody who's experienced a significant loss, a rose ceremony is like a blip of a loss.
Right.
And so I think we're all kind of preparing ourselves to go home or to say goodbye to a dear friend. And so there is a lot of tension in the loss and the feeling of rejection and the heartbreak. And so as a result, cocktail parties have a lot of like nervous energy.
Yeah. Was it hard for you to take it seriously sometimes? Like after everything you've been through? Like you just said, it was like a blip of tension, like compared to what you've experienced. So was that hard for you to like really throw yourself into it when you have like this other experience that is in some ways so much more devastating?
What's hard is the often obsessive conversations about the date card or the constant talk about, are you getting a rose? You think you're getting a rose? Like, who cares?
Right.
This is a relationship with another human being.
Right.
It either works or it doesn't work. And so that's where it really hurt when I was accused of playing a game, because this is, to me, it's not a game. And that's just not how I live my life. And my perspective on finding love, on challenging myself, on growing is, I guess, different than other people's.
Right, right. Let's talk about then the 2-on-1 date, because that was just like...
Isn't that fun to watch?
Yeah, I mean, was it fun for you to watch?
Let me tell you, episode 5, I like holed myself up in a basement like with blankets and vodka. Episode 6, I had a party.
Were you hiding because of the panic attack, or is that?
I was hiding because I was so afraid of what they were going to air and in what light.
And
because
of the way that you talked about your husband, or because
all of it.
Got it.
All of it.
Were you upset with what you saw?
Shocked and despair.
Just because, like, what made you feel that way specifically?
It is probably the most painful thing to have people insinuate that you would leverage the death of your husband to get attention.
Right.
And to get a stupid rose.
Totally. Let's talk about it. Let's talk about episode 6.
Okay.
The fun one.
Okay.
From me, it seemed like it looked like you guys were like on Tatooine, like in Star Wars. I don't know if you were aware of that, but it looked like a different planet because it was just like so sandy.
That's the Badlands, yeah.
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 Okay, so 5 was horrible and painful. 6 was hilarious. What was hilarious about it for you?
The duality between Ashley and Kelsey.
Yeah. I mean, let's really break that down, because I think that was kind of shocking to everyone.
And even Chris said that in the episode, can you have any more different women? We are polar opposites.
Yeah.
And I think that's a beautiful thing. That's what made our cast so dynamic. And here we have Ashley, whose lifestyle, whose perspective on life is just so different from mine that it almost looks like a rivalry. It almost makes us look like we're a nemesis.
I mean, from her side, it seemed like she hated you. It might not have been because of you, but because anyone in that position she would have hated, right?
I don't know.
I mean, what was your conversation? So the most awkward part as a viewer was when Chris leaves in his helicopter and you two are sitting on that like bed or whatever. Right
before. Well, it was right after Chris disclosed to me that Ashley said I'm fake.
Right.
Because up until that point, I had no idea that Ashley didn't like me. I had no clue that she was saying the things. Well, no.
Wow. So she never like indicated to your face? If she never was like cold to you even?
No.
Wow.
I mean, we sat on the bed the night before the date and just said, hey, whatever happens tomorrow happens. Like, let's just dive through that awkwardness and just have a good time.
Yeah.
And, we would joke like, Ashley, you ready for the date? I can't wait to take you out. And I mean, I remember sitting on the floor in like the living room of the Deadwood suite. She was cleaning her makeup brushes, and we were talking about Sephora.
So just like regular stuff.
Regular, like just girl talk. And so that's why, as you saw on television, I was angry and I was betrayed.
Yeah. So what was your conversation like with her that we didn't get to see or didn't get to hear?
Where, in what aspect?
Like, after Chris leaves on the helicopter, how much longer are you guys stuck?
Oh, when we both got dumped?
Yeah.
I hadn't seen her. So what happened was that altercation on the bed, where I said something, she said something, I said something, she said something, she storms off. That was it. I haven't seen her since.
Really? So you don't fly back to Deadwood together or anything?
No.
So you're on separate helicopters, basically?
Separate planets, basically.
Yeah. It really looked that way.
Right.
So that's interesting. So there's been no communication since you had that fight, basically?
None until the women tell all.
Oh, so then that happened, and I won't even press you on it. I know you're not allowed to tell me what happened, so I won't even ask.
I think it's a good thing though that we did get to have a moment to share last and final thoughts because we had an altercation and it wasn't fully resolved.
Right. Were you surprised when Chris ended your relationship on that date? Would that come to as a shock to you, or did you know it was coming?
It would have been a shock to me hadn't he prefaced it with the conversation that, hey, someone said you're fake and now I need to know what you're all about. That scared me.
Yeah.
Because, first of all, it hurt to be accused of being disingenuous. And second of all, I didn't know what was going to happen as a result.
Right. So I noticed that since the show, I think you went off of social media and everything, right? I think you closed your Twitter account and all of that.
We're supposed to.
Oh, you are? So you were told to. It wasn't because in the wake of episode 5, it seemed like maybe it was like sometimes like protection because you just were getting a lot of negative feedback, or
that doesn't stop the hate from spewing. Whether or not my social media accounts are active or if I'm out there in the public media, it doesn't matter. Like there was still a lot of hate.
Yeah, I mean, people. As someone who works on the internet, people can find you.
They will find you.
It's a vast world.
It is, but to be honest, like every girl has a fan base and has a hate group.
Right.
And I mean, it's a part of being in the public spectrum. It's a part of being on The Bachelor. I mean, you're really putting yourself out there.
Right.
To be judged, to be criticized, to be loved, to be adored, all of it.
Would you ever go on a reality show again?
Having been through it and now understanding how the ropes work, I'll do it cautiously. And it has to be for a good cause. It has to be for love. It has to be for something that is fulfilling.
Do you think it's possible to find love in that kind of setting? Like, I mean, it seems, it's worked out for a few couples.
A few. I remember reading or catching up on the successful relationships that came out of The Bachelor, and holistically what they said was the relationship doesn't really start until after the show.
Right.
Until all the cameras are gone. And isn't that like real life?
Totally.
I met my husband when I was 19, and in 3 months, we knew.
Right.
This is it. This is the person.
Right.
So I can see, given the short time span of the show, love can actually occur then, and you can find a person. It's just making the right decision, because that's the crux of the issue. Like, if you've got 30 women to choose from, how do you know which one is the right one for you?
Who do you take the chance on, basically? Because at the end,
sometimes it is taking a chance.
Yeah.
And I hope Chris, though, was able to use, because I think he's a very pragmatic person, and I hope he wasn't rolling the dice.
Right.
I hope that he was following his heart too, because he deserves to have a wonderful woman in his life.
Yeah, he really seems like a great guy. He honestly does.
Yeah.
Just a couple of random questions. Like, while you're on the show, how much do you guys speculate to each other about who could be the next Bachelorette? Like, if you don't win.
On the show, we did not speculate about that.
Interesting.
I think we're speculating now. I think everybody wants to know who the next Bachelorette is.
If I had a bet, I'd go with Caitlyn, but
Oh, really?
Yeah. She would be my number one choice, and I think most likely. But we'll find out, I guess.
I know. It's the...
Do you know who it is? I won't ask who, but do you know who it is?
I do not.
Oh, interesting. Okay. So we'll all find out together.
I'm excited.
How much time, so there's 3 dates a week, right? So like, what do you do? Like, if you're not on a date, what do you do all day?
Gab.
Just talk?
Paint your nails.
Wow. Are you allowed to, read? Can you go in the corner and just, be like, I'm reading now?
Literally go in a corner and read. Well, yes and no. In the beginning, because there are so many girls, there's going to be a lot of footage that they want to gather. But as the numbers dwindle and we have more freedom to explore our downtime and do things that are more meaningful to us. But technology is not really an option. Our phones are gone,
right.
Laptops, television.
Yeah, so how much do you talk to, your family while you're on the show?
Not at all.
Really?
No.
No phone calls?
Unless you're a mother.
Wow.
I mean, or a parent. It's important that we honor the moms of this season, that they were able to talk to their children whenever, or there was a family issue that they needed to be in touch with. But for the most part, they want you secluded, because that is what really instills the conversations about relationships. That's how you bond. That's what makes the I guess, the magic of reality TV occur, because if we had distractions from our outside life, we wouldn't be present.
Sure. Some other random stuff from this season. They said Britt didn't shower. Does Britt shower?
Yes.
How much?
I knew you were going to follow up with that. I love Britt, but I don't follow her around, and I don't shower with her.
You don't?
Damn. No.
On other reality shows, group showers are totally a thing. Like on the Real World, like it'd be, if a group shower didn't happen, it'd be more shocking than it does happen. But
maybe next season of The Bachelor there'll be some group showering, but this season we were kind of modest.
Would you ever go on Bachelor in Paradise? Now that you're talking about modesty.
There's something very appealing about the idea of paradise. Mm-hmm. But what is paradise, really?
I mean, I don't know. I guess everyone has their own definition.
Exactly. I need more details.
Okay. So it's not a hard no, but not a yes.
That's right.
And then, like, what was, like, your favorite part of the whole experience? Like, it just, like, what's something, like, that as a viewer we just couldn't know about that's, like, super fun on the show?
The adventure.
Okay.
I mean, it's a little scary not knowing where you're going to go next, because you wake up the next day and you're told, okay, you may or may not be going on a date. We're not telling you where we're going to go until we get there, because they want you to be surprised. They want to capture that. So it's a little unnerving to not have that sense of control. But then when you get there and you realize, oh, I'm going to shoot some zombies, that's awesome. Or I'm going river rafting,
right,
which I've never done before.
Yeah, that seemed really fun.
It was really, really cool.
Yeah, it seemed like a cool date.
Yeah.
Did you watch the rest of the show, like past your episodes? Did you watch to see how it
I've done
ended?
my best to keep up with some of the episodes. The last one I watched was where Caitlyn went home.
Oh, okay. So do you think he's going with Becca or Whitney, if you had to guess?
I know Whitney better than I know Becca. Just we were in closer proximity in the house. We bunked together. And both women are outstanding. Becca is sincere and she's kind, and it's like she just makes you feel so comfortable talking to her, and Chris needs that. Whereas Whitney is the Southern belle, and she is a strong woman, and I think Chris he's surrounded by sisters. Yeah, it's a strong woman in his life.
Needs someone who can keep up with that.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm kind of torn, but I'm leaning towards Whitney just because I know her better, and I think she's a phenomenal woman.
I think Whitney too. Thank you so much for coming by. It was great to hear from you and hear about your experience. Good luck to you in the future.
Oh, thank you so much.
You see, every podcast we put on YouTube comes with this fancy graphic listing all the topics that your favourite Grantland podcasters are talking about. If you click the topics, you can skip around and choose your own podcast adventure. Subscribe to the Grantland Podcast channel to blaze your own trail on this sonic journey.